Hello, 1900s war history. Hold on, I forgot to even start the music. There we are. Hopefully that's, it should be. I can't speak today, I'm sorry. But, we just had, well, we are still in a very bad, storm. Well, technically it's just windstorm, I guess you can say, but one of my boots almost flew into the water, so I was outside there trying to run and grab it. The wind is so, heavy that I couldn't even really get the door open. So I'm out of breath right now as well. But, anyways, I got something really awesome. And there's this helmet. As you can see, you can probably tell it's an M16, but you notice that there's something different with it. That's that little, what do you call the thing? I can't remember, but the, curl to it. It's, a lot less of what we're used to seeing. That is like this one, as you can probably tell. And that is because this is a square dip. And the reason you can tell it's a square dip is, well, as you can see, it goes very sharp down and then goes back out. And there was only about, I want to say, 35,000 of these made, I believe. 35,000? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Around 35,000 of these made. And a lot of them were sold off or remelted to be made into the normal one after, they started producing the other one. So this is actually pre-mass production, like kind of a field testing helmet. Like, alright, so we're going to send these off to soldiers and see how well they actually do in combat, real combat. And they did well enough. And this one obviously wasn't one of the ones that got brought back or sold off post-war because, well, still has a lot of its original features, including some interesting ones that I like to notice, like the camouflage on it. As you can see, there was multiple different layers of it. From what I could tell, one for probably fall time, summer, and winter. And maybe spring, but I can't tell. Hi, cat. Yeah, these are pretty hard to find helmets. Now, I mean, like, this one, from looking at it, probably has a story. Which way is it? This pin right there, it's a little loose. The reason for that, though, we go to the liner. As you can see, the liner is actually not even the M16 liner. It is rather the M17 liner in very good condition. Now, I know this one wasn't replaced because the split pins in it are way too rusted to even move, so you can't really do that. Like, replace it without it. Another reason being is that there was actually paint from the outside that got in via that one split pin that was a little bit loose. And there's now some green paint, that light green paint, on the inside of it. Here. You can probably see it right there. Now I presume that, I don't know, probably springish, I want to say spring, like 1918, was probably when the liner was placed in and the paint was applied to it. But I would assume that, I don't know, sometime after that, this guy did not have such a good time. Reason being, well, shrapnel damage does happen every once in a while. It made this really long crack on it. Two little separate cracks did break off from it, if you can see that right there. But, let's see, right there was probably the impact point and kind of went down. Normally, German helmets, when they get hit really hard, tend to just kind of, crack and not dent, although they will dent. But usually on lighter stuff that hits them, which is really weird for me, because it's like, they dent, but they also crack, and it's like, well, when is what gonna happen? Is it gonna crack this time, or is it gonna dent? Usually dents on lighter things, usually cracks on harder things. Like shrapnel will probably crack it instead of dent, but if you get hit by, like, I don't know, a tiny piece of flying dirt that was brought up by artillery, then it's probably gonna dent, and it's weird. Yeah, there was a lot of camouflage applied to this one, Still very nice shell. I'm going to get a solid acid on the inside, but it is made by ET and it's a size 64. Now I'm trying to think. Oh yes. Now, as you can see, it had much more of a square shape to it than the normal one would. The reason for that being is because it cracked all the time, and it was just kind of like, you know, it just cracked way too much, and they need to get rid of it. Now, here, I'll try and, alright, or I can get rid of an ad. Thank you. What was it? Hold on, let me try and get these one-handed. I don't want to break the liner and the squared up. Alright, so there we are. Well, I mean, like, here. What would be easiest? This would be easiest, I believe. Yeah. As you can see, the square tip and the other helmet, the other M16 that I'm holding, they look very similar, but with every size of the square tip, it's going to look practically the same. Some of them are going to be a little bit more slanted depending on its size. While this normal M16, it's a 62 size, so one of the smaller ones, it looks like that, but it's going to be curved a lot more than this. And, you know, at the bottom, it's not going to be as squared as this one would. Wait, no, as this one would. There we go. But yeah. As you can see, not to get mixed up with each other. There's a difference. Now, if I can get my hand underneath the square tip and back out, I can grab that one. Now, I have like a slight feeling that the M35 helmets were at least somewhat inspired by the size 62's kind of curve to it and the square dips, due to it also having a longer dip to it for the skirt and the shorter thing, dome. I mean, like, yeah, that looks kind of like a square dip, less square though. As you can see, this is also an M35, and this one I actually just got really cheap, and it's a double decal. And I was looking in the book of helmet numbers, and when I was going through it, I finally found this one, which is around made 1938-ish. It was actually missing from the book, which was disappointing because I couldn't like figure out what it was. But the thing is that, yeah, it was missing from the book, but that doesn't mean that the one from before it and after it weren't, because they were there. And one of them was a Luftwaffe helmet, and the other one was a police helmet, so I don't know what this one could have been. But because it has two decals and green paint, I mean, it really could just be Army or SS, so either one. Your guess is as good as mine, but this one was used post-war for, I think, I don't know, police or firemen, I don't know. You can see it has a replacement liner in it. If you can see, yeah, it's kind of like the finished one. And inside of it, it does say RPP hands. So whatever that would stand for, you know, that's what this is. Reissued. I might remove the paint on that, so that way you can see the decals underneath. That one you can't really tell that well unless you angle it like that, which, yeah, now you can tell. It's still under there. Barely, but it's there. This one's a lot easier to see. Or was it flip-flopped? Wait. Usually this side is easier to see. Wait, no. Never mind. I was not thinking correctly because I'm using this as if, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just I was thinking wrong. No, this side is usually the easier one to see. As you can see, it's still there. And then there's one on the other side which you have to angle to see. To angle at a really weird angle to be able to see it, but it's there. You have to kind of like go up from a top view and angle. So maybe if I can try and angle that correctly, you might be able to see it. Oh, I just realized you can kind of see it from that way. The bottom if you looked at it. Well, enough of that. I actually got this one for extremely cheap for being an M35 and just being repainted over. It still has its paint and decals underneath. But, yes. As you can see, This one isn't a size 64 like the squared up. It's a size 66, but it's close enough. As you can see, there's a clear difference. And one more thing I would like to mention is that, oh, now I forgot. Darn. My cat's being crazy too. Oh yes, is that in the liner. Alright, so you see the M16, you pull back one of the pads. That one keeps coming untied right there for some reason. It's going to be made out of what I would believe to be cloth. Yeah, it would be cloth. On the original ones, it would just be cloth, so that way you can put the pad in and everything. On the square dips, they were actually made out of just leather. So, you know, if you have an M16 and it has a liner in it, that when you turn back the pads, instead of having a cloth holder, I guess I'll just call it a holder for the pad, it instead has a leather one. That is because it was for a square dip, and probably not the M16 that would look like this, unless yours is a square dip. Then that's nice. But I don't care about insurance ads, thank you. Alright. Well, anyways, trying to think. Yes, that is it for now. Goodbye. Have a great day.